What we found is anytime anything is not light for you, just ask this question, personality or being. Anytime you feel like you need to be right, anytime you feel like you need to make somebody else wrong, anytime you notice you're getting upset or getting angry or getting frustrated or wanting to withdraw, just ask personality or being. Hello, beautiful people. This is Dr. Dane. Welcome to this installment of the Tour of Consciousness from lovely Istanbul, Turkey. Ooh, and check out the background behind me. It's pretty cool. I'm in a bizarre hotel room. It's wonderful. And I've got some pictures of the marina so you can feel like you're here. You're welcome. Or some video, I guess. And sorry for not being Tour of Consciousness-y in the last many weeks. There's been so much going on, so much changing, and I haven't really been able to put much of it into words. So I've been kind of video hibernating, as in video hibernation mode. So there. But I figured I had a pretty background. I got a lot of stuff to say. I'm going to try to say some of that stuff in your general direction. So what is the tool for today? So many tools, so little time. So let me have a little conversation with you about something we've discovered recently called personalities. Now, you hear that and you're like, oh, of course I've heard about personalities. But what you don't know is what we found is anytime anything is not light for you, just ask this question, personality or being. Anytime you feel like you need to be right, anytime you feel like you need to make somebody else wrong, anytime you notice you're getting upset or getting angry or getting frustrated or wanting to withdraw, just ask personality or being. 99% of the time it's going to be personality. And all you do is go, all the personalities, pock and pot. Or, as I like to do, destroy and create all that, right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, povads, and beyonds. My voice seems to be cutting out a little bit. So maybe I'm going through puberty. Who knows? I hope I grew up to be a big person one day. Anyway, I digress. I know I'm 54 going on 6. Oh well, what are you going to do? So this thing has been amazing, where people have been stuck in this way of doing things. Because what personalities are is it's this structure. It's basically like running a program that you think is you, and you will fight to the death for this thing, and yet it's not actually your being. And it'll get activated when somebody is mean to you, when somebody tells lies about you. Had a lot of that going on lately. How does it get any better than that? And with pock and potting personalities, I don't care anymore. Because what happens is I go into a reaction to anything. And I go, okay, is that personality or being? Personality. Okay, pock and pot all of that. Destroy and create it, right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, povads, and beyonds. Now, we've gotten all kinds of other aspects, and it's a little too long to explain in a Tour of Consciousness video. But just doing this, the personality thing, can be so helpful. I cannot even begin to explain how helpful and how much freedom can be created. So I am thrilled to bring this to you. And hopefully you'll start working on it and notice the freedom that you can get. It's amazing how you can go from cranky and stuck and unhappy in a few seconds to, oh, I feel good again. Because your being always functions from lightness. Your being functions from perceiving, knowing, receiving, and being. And your being, remember our tool in Access, what's true for you always makes you lighter, and a lie always makes you heavier. Well, your being always functions from lightness. It's that simple. So a lot of the things that you have been thinking are you, especially when you feel like you have to fight for it or fight against it, those are not you. That's not your being. It's personalities. And so we've all misidentified and misapplied these personalities as though they actually are our being. And it is a great source of freedom to let them go. So let's say you're having a problem with family, your kids, your mom, your dad, or your relationship peoples, whoever they are, and you notice yourself really wanting to be right. Just take a moment, take some space, go to the toilet if you need to. That way they won't bother you, unless you have kids. Of course, they'll bother you there. For those of you who have kids, they'll bother you anywhere. They'll come into the toilet and they'll be like, Mom, it stinks. And you're like, well, you don't have to be in here. Yeah, but I want to talk to you. You're like, okay, then stop judging it. Anyway, get somewhere, get some space for you, and just go personality or being. And then go all the personalities, creating all of that, destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, bod and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, poveds, and beyonds. By the way, if you're new to this whole conversation, you can find that at theclearingstatement.com. Pardon my framing, by the way. I'm using a selfie stick. Woo, woo. Okay, sorry. And you'll notice that you will get over a huge amount of the reaction. May not get rid of all of it. That's why we have all kinds of other tools, like who does this belong to, and interesting point of view. I have this point of view. What am I avoiding here? What am I defending? What am I proving? All of those things can be very helpful too. But one of the other parts of what I want to add to the conversation is us getting free and clear of these things is a gift we give ourselves. By extension, we give that gift to everybody in our lives, which is a really beautiful thing, because what's it like? Have you ever been in a situation where you had a lot of charge on something and you bring it to somebody and you both have your personalities in place in this particular area? And by the way, this may be another thing that you look at in the area of relationships, people you know really well, especially where you know the buttons to push and they know the buttons to push, and sometimes you just push each other's buttons because you know exactly where they are. And you'll often do it when you're upset about something else or when you want to create some separation. Well, what I've seen is that's your personalities knowing all of their personalities and them knowing all of your personalities. And so your personalities are pushing each other's buttons. Is that really your being? No, your being doesn't need to fight. Your being doesn't need to be right. Your being doesn't need to prove anything. Your being is always interesting point of view. I have this point of view. Your being doesn't do caring as judgment. Your personalities do. And your being doesn't do caring of you as judgment. Your personalities do. So the point I want to make here is that it is an amazing gift to you to let these things go. And initially, when you hear it, your personalities might go, he's trying to get us to get rid of us. No, that's where you've misidentified and misapplied that as your being when it's not. Once again, your being always functions from lightness. Your being always functions from possibilities. Your being always functions from choice. Your being always functions from knowing there are other choices available. Could you imagine what a great gift it is to give yourself the gift of being you? This is one of the most dynamic, quickest, clear cuts to the path of being you that I know of. And we've just gotten to it in the last several weeks. And I've gotten so many emails, so many messages from people on various platforms saying, thank you so much. I didn't necessarily get it at first, but I kept using it. And now I'm realizing that everything that was sticking me was not actually my being. And it's given me a trust that I know, and a trust that I know that I can be, because all the things that I didn't trust were actually me not being my being. Whoa, there's a biggie. So consider yourself warmly invited, darling, to actually getting to trust your being, to start to perceive, to know, to receive, and get to be as the being you are. So happy pock and potting, my beautiful friends. And even more than that, happy choosing, because what occurs after the pock and potting is you have different choices available. And I'm going to say those choices are much more like the choices we would actually like to make. Because does it ever feel good when you're in an argument with somebody you care about and you just want to be right and they just want to be right, and you're going into the same reaction that you've gone into for years, and so are they, and now you're stuck on opposite sides of the Grand Canyon? No, that doesn't feel good to any of us. Who wants that? So, pock and pod the personalities, and then ask yourself, what does my being know? If I were functioning from my being, what would I choose, and what would my being choose? Now, when you say what would my being choose, of course that can sound a little dissociative, but it's actually not, because in that moment of functioning from personality, you're not actually functioning from your being. So when you go, what would my being choose? What you're doing is getting you more in sync. I don't know if that explained in sync. Anyway, you're getting you more in sync with your being. And when you have that, you see things through a totally different lens. For those of you who have been, seemingly like the world is going through a bigger shit show than it ever has, and feel like you've lost hope. Well, I've been doing this for the last month and a half with every facilitation I do, almost every program I run, everything, and it has been creating miracles. And that's one of the last things I want to speak to. I know it's been a long video, and thank you for sticking around this long. If you have, if your personalities have not clicked away yet, see what I did there? You're welcome. Is a lot of people told me after the first time I introduced this on a program that I do called 15 Billion. It's a monthly program where we do 2 Zooms a month. And when I first introduced it, I had so many people send me messages and say, thank you so much. I've wanted to give up now more than any time in the past. And I was getting really close. Well, what if that's your personalities? What if it's not your being? Your being never gives up. Your being never gives in. Your being never quits. Your being always knows where the path to possibilities lies. So if you've been in that place, and I hope you haven't, but if you have, start pocking these personalities about everything from money to relationships to your body to anything that makes you unhappy, anything that makes you feel yuck, stuck, or what the fuck, anything that is heavy, anything that is not like personality or being, pod the personalities. Last thing in this very long video, very last thing, I think, probably, maybe, who knows, is if you go, is this personality or being, and you get being, but it's not like, that means you have bought this as your being, and you want to go all the primary personalities, creating all of that. Everywhere I bought this as my being, destroy and uncreate it. Times a gazillion, right, wrong, good, bad, all 9, pod, poc, shorts, boys, poveds, and beyonds. Hey, and there are no rules in this stuff. You may need to do it a few times, but oh my goodness, the fact that we can do it at all is amazing. This is changing universes. Almost every facilitation I do right now has an element of, is this personality or being? So, happy potting, beautiful you. Thank you for waiting around till I got to another True Consciousness, and apparently I could talk again. Yay! It's been a dark night of the soul for a lot of us, but we are coming out the other side, like that. See you soon, beautiful you. And what if you truly being you are the gift, the change, and the possibility this world requires? I look forward to being with you next time and seeing you in person so I can give you a big hug. Mwah! Kisses on all your cheeks. Bye-bye.